William Henry Gates III, widely known as Bill Gates, was born on October 28, 1955, in Seattle, Washington. His family background shaped his interests and ambitions from an early age. His father, William H. Gates Sr., was a prominent attorney, while his mother, Mary Maxwell Gates, was active in community service and business organizations. The Gates family valued education, discipline, and curiosity, nurturing Bill's remarkable mind. Growing up in this environment, Gates developed a sharp intellect and a natural fascination for problem-solving. As a child, Gates displayed an extraordinary memory and curiosity that set him apart from peers. He loved reading encyclopedias, science fiction, and history books, absorbing knowledge with remarkable speed. Unlike many children, he preferred quiet hours of study and analysis over social activities. This intellectual independence was often noticed by teachers, who recognized his exceptional ability to grasp complex ideas quickly. Gates developed early habits of perseverance, often dedicating hours to solving puzzles, which later translated into his obsession with computer programming. Bill grew up in Seattle's comfortable suburban neighborhoods, where his family instilled both privilege and responsibility. His parents encouraged him to strive for excellence but also to respect teamwork and community. Family dinners often involved discussions about law, business, and social issues, stimulating his analytical mind. His mother, a civic leader, often reminded him about the importance of giving back to society. These conversations created a balance in young Bill between ambition for personal success and responsibility for social contribution, values he would carry forward. By the age of 11 or 12, Gates began showing signs of boredom in traditional classrooms. His restless energy and insatiable curiosity pushed him beyond the curriculum. Teachers struggled to keep him engaged because he would finish assignments quickly and then distract others. Recognizing his potential, his parents decided to enroll him in the prestigious Lakeside School, an exclusive private institution in Seattle. This decision marked a turning point, as Lakeside provided him with the tools, environment, and opportunities that fueled his genius. At Lakeside School, Gates encountered the machine that would change his life, the computer. In the late 1960s, computers were rare and expensive, yet Lakeside had access to a teletype terminal connected to a General Electric mainframe. Bill was immediately captivated by this new technology. He spent countless hours experimenting, writing programs, and learning how computers worked. His teachers were astonished by his dedication. The school's unique opportunity exposed Gates to programming languages and computing power, igniting his passion for software development early on. Gates, along with his classmates, quickly became addicted to the terminal. He met Paul Allen, a fellow student with similar enthusiasm for technology. The two bonded over long sessions at the computer, often skipping classes to pursue programming. Their friendship was built on mutual curiosity and complementary skills, laying the foundation for a partnership that would later change the world. Their experiments ranged from simple games to scheduling programs, demonstrating a level of innovation and persistence that foreshadowed their future success with Microsoft. Despite his brilliance, Gates often exhibited a competitive and argumentative personality. He was known for challenging teachers and peers, sometimes coming across as stubborn or arrogant. However, his sharp intellect made it difficult for others to dismiss his insights. He thrived on problem-solving contests and enjoyed proving his ideas correct. This personality trait, though sometimes abrasive, reflected his determination to push boundaries. It became a defining part of his leadership style later in life, where confidence and vision drove bold decisions at Microsoft. During his teenage years, Gates and Paul Allen exploited every opportunity to gain computer time. They even partnered with the Computer Center Corporation, CCC, which gave them access to more advanced systems in exchange for debugging their software. This arrangement honed their programming skills beyond classroom learning. Gates demonstrated unusual discipline, logging thousands of hours in front of computers during a time when such access was extremely rare. The combination of passion and practice prepared him for the technological revolution he would soon lead. Alongside his technical pursuits, Gates maintained strong academic performance at Lakeside. He excelled particularly in mathematics and science, showcasing his ability to master abstract concepts quickly. Teachers noticed that while other students required repetition, Gates grasped new topics almost instantly. His deep focus allowed him to retain vast information and apply it creatively. He was not content with simply following instructions; instead, he wanted to explore alternative solutions. This intellectual independence was both his strength and, occasionally, a source of friction with authority. By the time Gates graduated from Lakeside in 1973, he had already laid the foundation for a remarkable future. His experiences with early computers, his partnership with Paul Allen, and his relentless drive had positioned him for success. He had developed the habits of deep concentration, resilience, and risk-taking that would define his later career. Though still a teenager, Gates was already envisioning a world where software could become a central force in society, a vision that would eventually revolutionize global technology. In 1973, Bill Gates enrolled at Harvard University, one of the most prestigious institutions in the world. Despite his youthful genius, Gates was initially uncertain about his future path. He considered law, following his father's footsteps, but remained deeply fascinated by computers. Harvard offered him an intellectually rich environment, filled with brilliant students and professors. Gates quickly established a reputation for his sharp mind, often dazzling classmates with quick problem-solving skills in mathematics and computer science courses, yet his true passion remained programming. While Gates officially pursued a pre-law curriculum, he devoted most of his energy to computer science. Harvard provided access to powerful mainframe systems, which fueled his interest in software development. He often spent long nights at the Aiken Computer Center, immersing himself in coding experiments. During this period, Gates befriended Steve Ballmer, another student with extraordinary energy and charisma. Their friendship would later play a crucial role when Ballmer joined Microsoft, providing management strength to balance Gates's relentless technical focus and competitive drive. Despite his heavy involvement in computers, Gates never fully integrated into the typical Harvard student life. He was known to be intensely focused, often isolating himself during long coding sessions. While others attended social events, Gates preferred late-night problem-solving marathons. Professors admired his intellectual capacity, yet many noticed he often neglected assignments in subjects that failed to capture his interest. This selective dedication highlighted Gates's personality. He devoted himself entirely to areas he considered vital while disregarding anything he deemed secondary or unproductive. During his Harvard years, Gates remained closely connected to Paul Allen. The two constantly discussed the future of computing and shared a belief that microprocessors could transform technology. In 1974, Allen showed Gates an article in Popular Electronics magazine about the Altair 8800, an early personal computer built around the Intel 8080 microprocessor. The article ignited their vision of providing software for emerging personal computers. Both recognized the Altair as an opportunity to prove their skills and potentially establish a business around software innovation. Gates and Allen immediately set out to create a version of the basic programming language for the Altair 8800. Although neither of them had direct access to the machine, they simulated its functions on Harvard's computers and successfully developed the program. Gates then contacted MITS, the manufacturer of Altair, boldly claiming they had a working interpreter ready. When MITS invited them for a demonstration, Allen flew to Albuquerque, successfully running the program on the Altair. This moment marked their first major breakthrough in software development. Impressed by their work, MITS agreed to distribute their basic interpreter, marking the birth of a small venture. Gates and Allen formalized their partnership by founding a company they initially called Microsoft, a blend of microcomputer and software. This modest beginning would later evolve into the giant Microsoft Corporation. The name captured their vision of bringing software to personal computers, a market largely ignored at the time. While others focused on hardware, Gates believed the future lay in making machines usable through accessible software. Faced with growing business demands, Gates made a critical decision. He dropped out of Harvard in 1975 to dedicate himself fully to Microsoft. Although his parents were initially disappointed, they recognized his passion and ambition. Gates argued that the computing revolution was happening immediately, and waiting to finish his degree might cause him to miss the opportunity of a lifetime. This choice demonstrated his risk-taking mindset, prioritizing vision and timing over security. It remains one of the most famous dropouts in history. Once Gates moved to Albuquerque to join Allen, Microsoft's earliest days were filled with uncertainty and determination. The company consisted of only a handful of employees working tirelessly to develop programming languages. Gates often assumed multiple roles, from coding and testing software to negotiating contracts. He exhibited an intense work ethic, frequently working long hours with little rest. This culture of discipline and relentless pursuit of perfection became ingrained in Microsoft's DNA. Gates's insistence on quality software positioned Microsoft as a trusted provider in the growing industry. Microsoft's BASIC quickly became popular among computer hobbyists, giving the young company early recognition. Gates and Allen reinvested earnings into expanding their operations, hiring more programmers to meet increasing demand. Gates's leadership style was already evident. He was highly detail-oriented, demanding precision from his employees, and often personally reviewed lines of code. This obsessive involvement earned him respect and sometimes resentment, but it ensured Microsoft delivered reliable software. His belief that software is the key continued to guide Microsoft's trajectory toward dominating the industry. By 1977, Microsoft had outgrown its early partnership with MITS and sought independence. Gates moved the company to Bellevue, Washington, closer to his family and Seattle roots. The relocation marked the transition from a small, experimental operation into a professional software company. Gates focused on building a vision of a computer on every desk and in every home, powered by Microsoft software. Though ambitious, this dream guided his decisions. The Harvard dropout, once uncertain about his path, had now committed to revolutionizing technology. The late 1970s and early 1980s marked Microsoft's transformation from a small startup into a rising industry player. Personal computers were becoming more accessible, and demand for user-friendly software increased rapidly. Gates recognized this trend and positioned Microsoft at the forefront. Unlike many competitors, he understood that software, not hardware, would ultimately define the personal computing era. His strategic vision distinguished Microsoft from companies focused solely on machines, paving the way for contracts and opportunities that would eventually reshape the global technology landscape. In 1980, Gates secured the most important partnership of Microsoft's early history, a deal with International Business Machines Corporation, IBM. IBM planned to launch its first personal computer and needed an operating system. Initially, IBM considered working with other companies, but Gates seized the opportunity. When asked, Microsoft did not yet have an operating system, but Gates boldly assured IBM they could provide one. This confidence and determination reflected his willingness to take calculated risks in pursuit of groundbreaking opportunities. To fulfill IBM's request, Gates negotiated a clever arrangement. He purchased rights to a program called QDOS, developed by Seattle Computer Products, and adapted it into what became MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System. Gates ensured that Microsoft retained ownership of the software, merely licensing it to IBM. This decision was revolutionary. While IBM sold hardware, Microsoft could sell its operating system to other manufacturers as well. The deal gave Microsoft massive leverage, setting the foundation for dominance in the software industry. The IBM PC, launched in 1981, became a huge commercial success, cementing Microsoft's reputation. MS-DOS quickly spread across the computing world, as other manufacturers adopted IBM-compatible machines that also required Microsoft software. Gates's foresight in retaining licensing rights created an exponential growth model. For every PC sold, Microsoft gained new users and influence. By separating software from hardware, Gates reshaped the industry structure, ensuring Microsoft's technology became essential to millions. The decision turned Microsoft into a rapidly growing and profitable company. As Microsoft expanded, Gates's leadership style grew more intense. He became known for his sharp critiques, often challenging employees aggressively during meetings. While his demanding nature could be intimidating, it pushed the team toward higher standards. Gates insisted on excellence, sometimes rewriting sections of code himself to ensure quality. This relentless pursuit of perfection cultivated a culture where only the best ideas survived. Employees admired his brilliance but often struggled with his uncompromising expectations. Still, this environment accelerated Microsoft's pace of innovation. Microsoft didn't stop with MS-DOS. Gates envisioned a future where graphical interfaces would make computers easier to use. Inspired by innovations at Xerox PARC and Apple's Macintosh project, Microsoft began developing its own graphical user interface. This effort led to the introduction of Microsoft Windows in 1985. While the first version was modest and faced criticism, it represented a crucial step toward Gates's dream of making computing accessible to ordinary people. The move reinforced Microsoft's long-term strategy of dominating software markets. By mid-1980s, Microsoft had established itself as a major force in the technology industry. The company went public in 1986, with its initial public offering, IPO, making Gates a multimillionaire overnight. At just 31 years old, he became one of the wealthiest young entrepreneurs in the United States. The IPO also empowered Microsoft with financial resources to expand aggressively. Gates reinvested heavily in research, product development, and talent acquisition, determined to keep Microsoft ahead of competitors in the rapidly evolving computing landscape. During this period, Gates's competitive instincts became increasingly visible. He monitored rivals closely, particularly Apple, whose Macintosh system presented serious competition. Gates admired Apple's innovation but sought to surpass it by delivering affordable, widely available software solutions. Lawsuits and tensions arose between the two companies, especially over the similarity between Windows and Macintosh interfaces. Despite conflicts, Gates remained focused on his larger vision, establishing Microsoft as the universal software provider. His drive ensured Microsoft didn't merely follow trends but actively shaped them. The 1980s also saw Gates refine his philosophy about technology's role in society. He emphasized that computing power should not remain confined to corporations or scientists but should extend into everyday homes and offices. This belief guided Microsoft's product development, pushing the company to make software more user-friendly. Gates began articulating his famous vision, a computer on every desk and in every home. Though critics dismissed this as unrealistic, his persistence and Microsoft's steady progress turned this dream into a growing reality. By the close of the 1980s, Microsoft had firmly established its dominance. MS-DOS was the industry standard, Windows was steadily improving, and Gates was recognized as one of the most influential figures in technology. His company had grown from a small partnership with Paul Allen into a global enterprise. Though controversies and rivalries were intensifying, Microsoft's momentum seemed unstoppable. Gates's combination of vision, technical brilliance, and relentless business strategy set the stage for Microsoft to dominate the software industry throughout the 1990s. The 1990s marked Microsoft's golden era, transforming the company from a successful software vendor into a global technology titan. Bill Gates, still in his 30s, was at the center of this transformation. Microsoft released Windows 3.0 in 1990, a major improvement over earlier versions, featuring enhanced graphics, multitasking, and greater usability. The product was a breakthrough, selling millions of copies worldwide. For Gates, Windows 3.0 represented validation of his belief that graphical user interfaces were the future of computing for ordinary people. Windows 3.0's success solidified Microsoft's dominance in operating systems, But Gates wanted more. He envisioned an integrated software ecosystem where businesses and individuals relied on Microsoft tools for all tasks. This ambition led to the development of Microsoft Office, a suite combining Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Introduced in 1990, Office quickly gained traction by offering seamless compatibility among applications. Gates's strategy of bundling software created a powerful advantage, locking users into Microsoft's ecosystem and discouraging them from exploring competitors' standalone programs. As Microsoft's products spread, Gates became increasingly recognized as a visionary entrepreneur. Media outlets celebrated his ability to anticipate market needs and deliver effective solutions. However, Gates remained personally reserved, often preferring technical discussions over public attention. His leadership style grew sharper, characterized by long meetings where he grilled employees on details. Colleagues noted that while his criticism could be brutal, his intellectual rigor pushed projects toward excellence. Gates believed that only by questioning everything could Microsoft maintain its dominance in the fast-moving industry. By 1993, Microsoft had become the largest personal computer software company in the world. Windows dominated the market, and Office was rapidly becoming an industry standard. Gates, now a billionaire, maintained his reputation for frugality and intense work ethic. He continued to work long hours, personally involving himself in product reviews. His vision of a computer in every home seemed closer than ever. Yet, new challenges were emerging, particularly with the rise of the Internet, a technological revolution Gates initially underestimated before adapting quickly. The mid-1990s presented Microsoft with both opportunities and risks. While Windows 95, released in 1995, became a cultural phenomenon, Gates faced criticism for being slow to recognize the Internet's significance. Early on, he viewed the Internet primarily as a tool for corporate networks rather than a global communication platform. However, once convinced of its importance, Gates pivoted aggressively. He launched a company-wide initiative to integrate Internet capabilities into Microsoft products, ensuring the company did not miss out on the next major technological wave. Windows 95 was perhaps Microsoft's most iconic release of the decade. It featured a user-friendly interface, the Start menu, and improved multitasking. The launch was accompanied by massive marketing campaigns, including commercials featuring the Rolling Stones song, "Start Me Up." Millions of users purchased the software immediately, making it one of the most successful product launches in history. For Gates, Windows 95 represented not just a software release but the realization of his dream to make computing mainstream, practical, and accessible worldwide. Alongside Windows, Microsoft introduced Internet Explorer in 1995, entering the browser wars against Netscape Navigator. Gates understood that controlling the browser meant controlling how people accessed the Internet. Microsoft bundled Internet Explorer with Windows, leveraging its dominant operating system to capture market share rapidly. While this strategy proved successful, it also drew accusations of unfair competition. Gates's competitive instincts led him to defend the move as innovation, yet regulators and rivals increasingly saw Microsoft as abusing its market power to crush competition. As Microsoft grew, so did Gates's fortune. By 1995, he officially became the richest man in the world, with a net worth exceeding $12 billion. His wealth attracted global attention, making him both admired and criticized. Many saw him as the symbol of technological progress and entrepreneurial success. Others accused him of monopolistic behavior, pointing to Microsoft's aggressive tactics against competitors. Gates largely ignored public debates, focusing instead on expanding Microsoft's reach. He believed that long-term success required persistence, innovation, and relentless strategy. The late 1990s saw Microsoft embroiled in legal battles over antitrust issues. The U.S. Department of Justice accused the company of maintaining a monopoly in operating systems and engaging in anti-competitive practices, particularly regarding Internet Explorer. Gates testified during these trials, often coming across as combative and defensive. While the case threatened to break up Microsoft, Gates remained steadfast, defending his vision of integrated software. Though controversial, the trials highlighted Gates's determination to protect Microsoft's dominance, even when facing massive legal and regulatory challenges. Despite these challenges, Microsoft thrived throughout the decade. Windows 98 further enhanced the company's operating system, while Office continued to dominate productivity software. The Internet boom expanded opportunities, and Microsoft positioned itself as a central player in the digital age. By the end of the 1990s, Gates was not only the wealthiest man alive but also one of the most influential figures in technology. His leadership had turned Microsoft into a global powerhouse, setting the stage for new challenges in the 2000s. The early 2000s were a period of both opportunity and challenge for Microsoft. Following antitrust rulings, the company faced stricter regulatory scrutiny in the United States and abroad. Gates had to navigate a more cautious corporate environment while maintaining Microsoft's competitive edge. Despite legal pressures, the company continued to innovate, releasing Windows XP in 2001, which combined stability with usability improvements. Gates's vision of user-friendly computing remained central, helping Microsoft regain consumer confidence and solidify its market dominance even amid external pressures. Windows XP marked a turning point, offering a streamlined interface, enhanced multimedia support, and improved networking capabilities. It quickly became a favorite for businesses and home users alike, demonstrating Microsoft's ability to adapt post-antitrust. Gates personally oversaw development, ensuring the software aligned with his vision of universal computing. XP's long-lasting popularity reinforced Microsoft's dominance. Gates realized that integrating software across platforms could strengthen user loyalty, shaping the company's future approach to product development, particularly in combining operating systems, productivity software, and internet connectivity. By the mid-2000s, Gates began gradually transitioning from full-time CEO to focusing on broader corporate strategy. In 2000, Steve Ballmer officially became CEO, allowing Gates to concentrate on long-term vision and product innovation. This shift reflected Gates's recognition that Microsoft required strong operational leadership while he explored emerging technologies. Gates remained highly involved in strategic decisions, including major acquisitions and research initiatives. His influence was felt across software, gaming, and enterprise solutions, ensuring Microsoft maintained technological leadership even as competition increased in multiple areas. During this time, Gates also began focusing on philanthropy more seriously. Alongside his wife, Melinda, he established the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2000. The foundation aimed to address global health, education, and poverty, leveraging Gates's wealth and influence to tackle large-scale social problems. This marked a significant shift in his public image, from a fiercely competitive tech mogul to a committed philanthropist. Gates applied the same strategic thinking to philanthropy as he had to Microsoft, emphasizing measurable outcomes and systemic impact. The foundation's early initiatives included combating infectious diseases such as malaria and HIV/AIDS. Gates believed in funding innovation to solve complex global challenges, partnering with governments, NGOs, and private companies. His approach combined rigorous research with large-scale funding, ensuring projects could achieve tangible results. While some criticized Gates for wielding significant influence in public health, his foundation demonstrated unprecedented ambition and scale. Gates applied lessons from his Microsoft career, strategic planning, risk management, and accountability, to philanthropy, aiming to make a measurable difference worldwide. Meanwhile, Microsoft continued expanding into new markets. Gates spearheaded initiatives in server software, cloud computing, and enterprise solutions, anticipating the shift toward internet-driven business. Products like Windows Server and SQL Server strengthened Microsoft's presence in corporate IT. Gates emphasized integration, ensuring Microsoft's software ecosystem provided comprehensive solutions for businesses. These efforts maintained the company's dominance despite emerging competitors like Google and Apple. Gates's foresight allowed Microsoft to evolve from a desktop-centric company into a provider of diverse software and services for the digital age. The early 2000s also witnessed the rise of Microsoft's Xbox gaming division. Gates recognized the potential of interactive entertainment as part of the broader technology landscape. Although initially outside his core focus, he supported the project financially and strategically, enabling Microsoft to enter the console market. Xbox eventually became a significant revenue source, demonstrating Gates's willingness to diversify Microsoft's portfolio. This expansion reflected his belief in technology's cultural impact, not just its commercial value, aligning with his long-term goal of making computing and software integral to everyday life. Despite transitioning to a more advisory role, Gates remained highly involved in product strategy. He continued reviewing code, attending key meetings, and mentoring executives. His presence ensured continuity in Microsoft's vision, particularly during the early Internet era and the expansion of enterprise software. Gates's strategic guidance influenced major initiatives such as Windows Vista, Office 2007, and early cloud services. While operational responsibilities shifted to Ballmer, Gates remained the intellectual and visionary force, balancing risk-taking with disciplined execution, ensuring Microsoft's sustained relevance in a rapidly changing technological landscape. Gates's growing involvement in philanthropy also influenced his perspective on technology's social responsibilities. He began advocating for accessible education, digital literacy, and global health initiatives. By applying business principles to charitable work, he emphasized efficiency, innovation, and measurable results. His high-profile public presence helped attract additional resources and attention to global issues. Gates became a model of combining wealth, expertise, and vision to drive systemic change. His transition from full-time corporate leadership to philanthropic leadership marked a new chapter in his life and legacy. By the end of the 2000s, Gates had firmly established a dual legacy: a pioneering technologist and a transformative philanthropist. Microsoft had grown into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise with a diverse product line, while the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had begun making global impact. Gates's work during this decade reflected both strategic brilliance and a growing social conscience. His ability to navigate technological innovation, corporate growth, and philanthropy simultaneously showcased the breadth of his influence, cementing his status as one of the most consequential figures of the 21st century. By 2010, Bill Gates had largely stepped away from daily Microsoft operations to focus on philanthropy full-time. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had become one of the world's largest private charitable organizations, with endowments exceeding tens of billions of dollars. Gates applied business-style strategies to philanthropy, emphasizing measurable outcomes and innovative solutions. His leadership style, once applied to software, was now used to tackle global health, education, and poverty, demonstrating that strategic thinking could transform even social and humanitarian challenges. During this period, the foundation intensified efforts against infectious diseases. Gates spearheaded programs to combat malaria, polio, and HIV/AIDS, emphasizing vaccine research, distribution, and public health infrastructure. He advocated for global collaboration, working with governments, pharmaceutical companies, and NGOs. The Gates Foundation became a trusted partner in international health initiatives, funding both research and large-scale implementation. Gates's approach was methodical, combining rigorous analysis with bold funding commitments, reflecting the same attention to detail and long-term vision that characterized his Microsoft career. Education also became a core focus for Gates. The foundation invested heavily in improving K-12 education, technology in classrooms, and teacher development programs. Gates believed that equitable access to quality education was critical for economic and social mobility. The foundation promoted data-driven policies and technological solutions to improve learning outcomes. Gates's philosophy mirrored his corporate principles: identify problems, deploy resources strategically, and measure results rigorously. This emphasis on efficiency and effectiveness set the Gates Foundation apart from many other philanthropic efforts. In 2014, Gates announced he would step down from his day-to-day role at Microsoft, transitioning fully into philanthropic work. This marked the end of an era in which he shaped one of the world's most powerful tech companies. He remained on Microsoft's board and continued advising on strategy but devoted the majority of his time to global issues. This shift reflected Gates's long-standing desire to leverage his wealth and expertise for broader societal benefit, signaling a clear transition from corporate titan to global humanitarian leader. The Gates Foundation expanded its global reach in the 2010s, tackling sanitation, clean water, and agricultural productivity in developing nations. Gates believed innovation could solve some of the world's most intractable problems, funding research in technologies like genetically enhanced crops and water purification systems. His approach combined scientific rigor, financial resources, and strategic partnerships. Gates also encouraged other billionaires to engage in philanthropy, co-founding initiatives like the Giving Pledge with Warren Buffett, promoting large-scale charitable contributions to address pressing global challenges. During this decade, Gates became a vocal advocate for climate change mitigation and energy innovation. He invested in renewable energy research, nuclear technology, and sustainable infrastructure. Gates emphasized that technological solutions were key to addressing environmental challenges and reducing global dependence on fossil fuels. His approach mirrored his problem-solving philosophy: identify the largest obstacles, fund innovative solutions, and measure results. By linking technology, philanthropy, and policy advocacy, Gates sought to address the interconnected crises of health, energy, and the environment. Gates also maintained public influence through writing and speaking engagements. He authored books such as How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, 2021, providing practical strategies for global sustainability. His public communications emphasized optimism, problem-solving, and the power of technology to improve lives. Gates combined credibility from decades of technological leadership with his philanthropic experience to advocate for science-based solutions. By doing so, he remained a thought leader in global innovation and policy, demonstrating that expertise from the tech industry could be leveraged for societal impact. While philanthropy defined Gates's 2010s, he also stayed engaged with technology trends. He monitored developments in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and biotechnology, advising Microsoft and other ventures on strategic direction. Gates believed that emerging technologies could be harnessed to address both commercial and societal challenges. His ongoing involvement reflected a lifelong commitment to learning, innovation, and influence. Gates combined foresight with practical action, ensuring he remained relevant in a rapidly evolving technological landscape while dedicating himself to improving human welfare worldwide. The Gates Foundation's approach also highlighted the importance of collaboration. Gates worked closely with governments, international organizations, and private companies to scale solutions efficiently. By leveraging partnerships, the foundation could amplify its impact, ensuring that innovations reached the communities that needed them most. Gates's leadership emphasized transparency, measurable outcomes, and accountability. This methodology mirrored the strategic management principles he developed at Microsoft, demonstrating how business acumen could be successfully applied to large-scale social initiatives, creating a replicable model for global philanthropy. By the end of the 2010s, Gates had established a dual legacy as a visionary technologist and transformative philanthropist. Microsoft continued to thrive under new leadership, while the Gates Foundation had become a global force for change. Gates's work demonstrated the power of combining wealth, intellect, and vision to tackle complex problems. His strategies, whether in software development, business leadership, or philanthropy, emphasized planning, innovation, and measurable impact, solidifying his reputation as one of the most influential figures of the 21st century. The 2020s presented Bill Gates with unprecedented global challenges and opportunities to influence public policy. The COVID-19 pandemic, beginning in 2020, brought his philanthropic work into sharp focus. The Gates Foundation, already active in global health, mobilized billions of dollars to support vaccine research, manufacturing, and distribution. Gates became a prominent voice advocating for equitable vaccine access worldwide. His emphasis on science-driven solutions positioned him as both a trusted advisor and a controversial figure, as debates about pandemic responses intensified globally. Gates had long warned about the dangers of pandemics. In a 2015 TED Talk, he predicted that the world was unprepared for a global viral outbreak, arguing that investment in health infrastructure was as critical as military defense. When COVID-19 struck, many revisited his warning, recognizing his foresight. The Gates Foundation played a crucial role in supporting initiatives like Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and COVAX, which aimed to ensure vaccines reached developing nations. Gates's advocacy underscored his belief in global cooperation during crises. Despite his contributions, Gates also faced criticism and conspiracy theories during the pandemic. Some accused him of exploiting vaccines for profit or attempting to control global health policy. These unfounded claims spread widely online, reflecting mistrust of elites and science. Gates publicly dismissed the conspiracies, focusing on supporting vaccination campaigns and strengthening health systems. The controversy highlighted the challenges of philanthropy at such scale. While his resources enabled major progress, his visibility also made him a target for suspicion and misinformation. Beyond COVID-19, Gates continued championing climate change action in the 2020s. In 2021, he published How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, outlining practical solutions for achieving net zero carbon emissions. Gates emphasized innovation in energy, agriculture, and industrial systems, advocating for massive investment in clean technology. His arguments blended optimism with urgency, stressing that technological breakthroughs, coupled with strong policy, could avert climate catastrophe. He invested in ventures like Breakthrough Energy, funding startups focused on renewable energy, storage solutions, and sustainable infrastructure worldwide. Gates's approach to climate mirrored his strategy in computing and philanthropy: identify systemic challenges, fund innovation, and scale solutions. He argued that merely reducing emissions wasn't enough. Industries must undergo fundamental transformation. His influence extended into policymaking, where governments sought his input on renewable energy, research funding, and international cooperation. While some critics questioned the influence of a billionaire on climate policy, Gates maintained that his wealth and expertise positioned him uniquely to drive change. His efforts kept climate action central to global discourse. In 2020, Gates stepped down from Microsoft's board of directors, marking his full transition away from corporate responsibilities. Although he occasionally advised Microsoft's leadership, particularly on technology trends, he devoted nearly all his time to philanthropy and global initiatives. This decision underscored his transformation from tech mogul to humanitarian. By relinquishing his last formal role at Microsoft, Gates symbolically closed one chapter of his career, fully embracing his role as a global leader focused on health, education, and sustainability initiatives. Gates also faced significant personal changes in the 2020s. In 2021, he and Melinda French Gates announced their divorce after 27 years of marriage. Despite the separation, both pledged to continue leading the Gates Foundation together, reaffirming their shared commitment to global philanthropy. The announcement drew global media attention, sparking speculation about its impact on the foundation. However, the couple emphasized professionalism and unity in their mission. This moment highlighted the personal dimensions of Gates's public life, balancing family transitions with philanthropic responsibilities. The Gates Foundation continued scaling its work during this decade, committing billions toward pandemic preparedness, agricultural innovation, and women's empowerment. Gates emphasized that equitable access to technology and healthcare was critical to global stability. The foundation's initiatives in digital banking, vaccine distribution, and education reform reflected his belief that technology could drive inclusive progress. Gates argued that the world's wealthiest had a moral obligation to tackle systemic problems, reinforcing his philosophy that personal success should translate into societal contributions at scale. As debates over the role of billionaires in philanthropy grew, Gates defended large-scale private giving as a complement to government and multilateral action. He acknowledged concerns about accountability but argued that his foundation's transparency and measurable impact set it apart. Gates consistently emphasized collaboration rather than control, highlighting partnerships with governments, universities, and nonprofits. His focus remained on systemic, data-driven solutions. Though controversy persisted, Gates remained committed to applying wealth and expertise strategically, ensuring that resources addressed humanity's most urgent challenges effectively. By the mid-2020s, Gates's global influence extended across health, climate, and policy. He remained a polarizing figure, admired for his contributions, criticized for his power. Yet his legacy continued to evolve. From building Microsoft into a technology empire to reshaping philanthropy, Gates consistently demonstrated vision, persistence, and adaptability. His focus on measurable results and long-term impact shaped both corporate and charitable worlds. Entering his late 60s, Gates remained active, optimistic, and deeply engaged in the pursuit of solutions to humanity's greatest challenges. Bill Gates's legacy is multifaceted, blending achievements in technology, philanthropy, and thought leadership. As Microsoft's co-founder, he transformed computing from a niche pursuit into an indispensable part of daily life. His software vision empowered businesses, students, and households across the globe. Beyond technology, his philanthropic work reshaped how the wealthy engage with global challenges. Gates demonstrated that financial success could fuel social progress. His dual identity as both a pioneering entrepreneur and a strategic philanthropist defined his influence. Gates's influence on technology is profound. Microsoft's early innovations, including MS-DOS, Windows, and Office, created an ecosystem that standardized personal computing. His insistence on user-friendly interfaces expanded computer adoption worldwide. Gates's emphasis on long-term strategy, such as focusing on software dominance rather than short-term profits, set industry benchmarks. Even after stepping back from Microsoft, his vision continued shaping trends, with cloud computing, AI, and digital transformation echoing his principles of adaptability and foresight. His work altered not just technology but how humans interact with information. One of Gates's most enduring contributions is his business philosophy. He emphasized relentless focus, strategic foresight, and adaptability. Gates often highlighted the importance of anticipating industry shifts, famously warning against complacency. His mantra that, "Success is a lousy teacher," reflected his belief that businesses must constantly reinvent themselves. Gates encouraged organizations to adopt data-driven decision-making, long-term vision, and efficiency. These lessons extended beyond technology, influencing entrepreneurs, executives, and policymakers worldwide. His principles remain widely studied in business schools and leadership programs. Philanthropy elevated Gates's legacy beyond corporate achievements. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation demonstrated a unique model, applying business strategies to humanitarian work. Gates believed measurable outcomes were essential, emphasizing data analysis and accountability in projects. This approach challenged traditional charity, inspiring others to adopt evidence-based philanthropy. By addressing systemic problems, disease eradication, education reform, climate solutions, the foundation redefined global giving. Gates's belief that wealth should serve humanity reshaped expectations of billionaires, making him a pioneer in large-scale, strategic philanthropy worldwide. Gates's role in global health is particularly significant. The foundation's investments in vaccines, sanitation, and health systems saved millions of lives. Efforts to eradicate polio and combat malaria reflected his belief in achievable, long-term goals. Gates prioritized innovation, funding cutting-edge research while ensuring practical distribution. By combining science, funding, and collaboration, he accelerated progress in ways governments alone could not. His health initiatives strengthened international cooperation, creating infrastructure that would outlast individual programs. These contributions established him as one of history's most impactful philanthropists. Criticism has also shaped Gates's legacy. Microsoft's antitrust battles in the 1990s raised concerns about monopolistic practices, painting Gates as a ruthless competitor. Later, his philanthropic work attracted scrutiny over accountability, influence, and transparency. Critics argued that concentrated wealth in private foundations risked undermining democratic processes. Gates responded by emphasizing collaboration with governments and openness in reporting. While debate continues, Gates's willingness to confront criticism and adapt his methods reflects the resilience that characterized his career, balancing power with responsibility over decades. Another key dimension of Gates's impact lies in education. Beyond funding schools, he promoted reforms focusing on teacher effectiveness, data-driven evaluation, and technological integration in classrooms. Though some initiatives faced challenges, his commitment underscored the role of education in long-term social mobility. Gates argued that just as software empowered individuals, education could unlock human potential on a massive scale. His efforts to modernize teaching and expand access to learning positioned him as a reformer seeking to align 21st-century tools with educational progress. Gates's climate advocacy is another pillar of his legacy. Through Breakthrough Energy, he funded startups and research tackling emissions in industries often overlooked by traditional environmental movements. Gates emphasized that solving climate change required innovation as much as policy. His pragmatic approach, acknowledging the challenges while investing in scalable solutions, distinguished him from purely activist voices. By framing climate action as both a necessity and an opportunity, he influenced policymakers and entrepreneurs alike, leaving a roadmap for sustainable innovation that aligned technology with environmental responsibility. Public perception of Gates reflects his complex identity. To many, he is a visionary who reshaped technology and devoted his fortune to global welfare. To others, he symbolizes concentrated power and wealth, sparking debates on inequality and accountability. This duality highlights broader questions about capitalism, philanthropy, and leadership. Gates himself embraced these debates, often stressing humility and learning. His willingness to evolve, from a competitive software mogul to a global humanitarian, illustrates adaptability, reinforcing his enduring relevance in public discourse and policymaking. Ultimately, Bill Gates's impact extends far beyond Microsoft or philanthropy. He influenced how societies use technology, address health crises, confront climate change, and think about wealth distribution. Gates demonstrated that vision, persistence, and resources could shape the course of history. His story embodies the intersection of innovation and responsibility, showing how individuals can drive systemic change. Whether admired or critiqued, Gates remains one of the most consequential figures of modern times, his life's work continuing to influence generations and global institutions alike. Bill Gates's personal life has always fascinated the public, not only because of his wealth and fame but also because of his unique habits and character. Unlike many high-profile billionaires, Gates cultivated a relatively private lifestyle, focusing on intellectual pursuits. From his youth, he exhibited curiosity, persistence, and an obsession with problem-solving. These traits carried into adulthood, shaping his business decisions and philanthropic approaches. Gates consistently projected an image of humility, preferring substance over showmanship, and valuing efficiency in daily routines. One hallmark of Gates's personality is his disciplined reading habit. He is known to read approximately 50 books per year, spanning science, history, economics, and fiction. Gates believes reading expands his perspective, helping him understand complex issues more deeply. He often shares recommendations through his blog, Gates Notes, where he reviews books and highlights their insights. This intellectual curiosity distinguishes him as a lifelong learner. Gates views knowledge as a tool for innovation and problem-solving, reinforcing his image as both thinker and doer. Despite his wealth, Gates embraced frugality in certain aspects of life. Early in his career, he was notorious for modest spending, flying coach and avoiding flashy possessions. though his lifestyle later grew more luxurious, with properties like Xanadu 2.0, his technologically advanced mansion in Medina, Washington. Gates maintained a practical mindset. He frequently stressed that wealth should serve society rather than personal indulgence. His choices reflected balance, enjoying comfort while remaining committed to philanthropy. This approach aligned with his belief in responsibility alongside privilege. Family played a central role in Gates's life. With Melinda French Gates, he raised 3 children, Jennifer, Rory, and Phoebe. The couple emphasized humility and responsibility, reportedly limiting their children's inheritance to ensure they developed independent ambitions. Gates often spoke about the importance of nurturing curiosity and discipline in his family, just as his own parents had encouraged him. His commitment to fatherhood contrasted with his demanding work schedule, demonstrating efforts to balance personal commitments with global responsibilities throughout his career. Gates's work ethic became legendary. Known for marathon coding sessions in Microsoft's early days, he carried the same intensity into philanthropy. Colleagues described him as relentless, demanding, and highly detail-oriented. He reviewed reports meticulously, often challenging assumptions with sharp questions. This intellectual rigor made him both respected and intimidating. Gates believed that hard work and intellectual honesty were essential for success. His tireless approach reinforced his reputation as someone unwilling to accept mediocrity, pushing himself and others toward excellence consistently. Personality-wise, Gates combined competitiveness with pragmatism. Early in his Microsoft years, he developed a reputation for aggressive tactics, often pushing rivals out of markets. Yet as he matured, his style evolved toward collaboration and problem-solving. Gates acknowledged mistakes openly, admitting that his earlier intensity sometimes bordered on harshness. Later in life, he emphasized listening, adaptability, and cooperation. This transformation highlighted personal growth, reflecting his broader journey from ambitious entrepreneur to reflective global philanthropist committed to collective progress rather than individual dominance. Gates's interests extended beyond business and philanthropy. He enjoyed playing bridge, a card game requiring strategy and foresight, often with close friends like Warren Buffett. He also embraced tennis and pickleball as recreational outlets, valuing both competition and mental engagement. Technology remained a personal passion. He frequently experimented with new gadgets and software. These hobbies reflected his personality, analytical, curious, and competitive, yet grounded by simple pleasures. Such pursuits offered balance, allowing Gates to recharge while maintaining his intellectual intensity throughout life. Another striking aspect of Gates's character is his optimism. Despite facing global challenges like poverty, disease, and climate change, he consistently expressed confidence in humanity's ability to overcome obstacles. Gates emphasized data, progress, and innovation as reasons for hope. His annual letters from the Gates Foundation often showcased measurable improvements in health and education, countering pessimistic narratives. This forward-looking optimism distinguished him as a realist who acknowledged difficulties but refused despair. Gates's positivity inspired colleagues and followers, reinforcing his image as a visionary leader. Gates's relationship with wealth was pragmatic. Though among the richest people in history, he pledged to give away most of his fortune through the Giving Pledge, co-founded with Warren Buffett and Melinda Gates. Gates saw wealth not as an end but as a means to address systemic problems. He argued that billionaires had moral obligations to tackle inequality, health crises, and climate change. This perspective reinforced his personal philosophy: wealth should serve humanity. His choices redefined success as responsibility rather than accumulation. Ultimately, Gates's personal life reflected consistency between his values and actions. His habits, discipline, reading, frugality, optimism, shaped his professional and philanthropic endeavors. Family, friendships, and intellectual pursuits grounded him amid global influence. His personality evolved from competitive entrepreneur to reflective humanitarian, yet his curiosity and drive remained constant. By balancing personal life with public responsibilities, Gates demonstrated how character underpins lasting legacy. The details of his daily routines and values provide insight into the human being behind the empire and philanthropy. Bill Gates's life and career were deeply shaped by relationships with other influential figures. From business partners to rivals and philanthropists, these connections influenced his trajectory. Gates thrived on intellectual partnerships, often seeking peers who challenged him. Collaborations provided perspective beyond his own thinking, while rivalries fueled his competitive edge. Whether working alongside Paul Allen in Microsoft's infancy or co-developing philanthropy strategies with Melinda, Gates's network of relationships reflected mutual growth, shared ambition, and sometimes, fierce conflict shaping his decisions. Paul Allen, Microsoft's co-founder, played the most crucial early role in Gates's journey. The two bonded over shared fascination with computers during their school years at Lakeside. Allen's vision for the Altair basic software provided the foundation for Microsoft's birth. While Gates's managerial rigor often clashed with Allen's creative instincts, their partnership was vital. Allen's departure from Microsoft due to illness and disagreements left a void, but their friendship endured in later years. Gates frequently acknowledged Allen's indispensable role in Microsoft's origin story. Steve Ballmer, who joined Microsoft in 1980, became another central figure in Gates's professional life. Ballmer's energy and management skills complemented Gates's analytical leadership. As Microsoft grew, Ballmer helped oversee operations and later succeeded Gates as CEO in 2000. Their partnership was characterized by both loyalty and tension, reflecting different management styles. Gates admired Ballmer's relentless drive, though critics sometimes questioned his strategies. The pair's decades-long collaboration exemplified how Gates built lasting bonds with colleagues who shared his commitment to Microsoft's success.